Betsy and I covered the connection between your hip and your foot and why that alignment is key and how that can play a role in your pelvic floor function or your dysfunction. So if you're a chronic butt gripper, we get the hips in external rotation and those feet can roll out or present with a really high arch. And so can we tie together the connection between the hips coming back to neutral, so we need to promote internal rotation as well as the ability to flatten that foot as well. So I thought, let's find some yoga poses that allow us to incorporate both. And so the first part of finding that hip internal rotation is a nice hip hinge. I really like a staggered approach, so you'll see in the first one with the knee bent or in pyramid pose, you have a staggered stance. So to open the posterior pelvic floor, finding that hip hinge is really key. So if you find you're somebody who rounds their back often, especially with something like a deadlift or bending over, and you have a really hard time finding that flat or neutral spine, taking a staggered stance can actually make that easier. So you'll notice that I have a lot of those happening, whether that's one knee bent and then we're reaching. What you need to pay attention to, though, is that your hip doesn't pop out as you start to twist. So we're still going straight back. So I always like to glance down at my foot, and then I see, is my foot in a neutral position? Is it rolling? Can we flatten that out? And what is happening at the hip? Is it going directly back? A yoga block or something that elevates you is going to be really key, especially with keeping a flat spine. And as you add that twist, we're still keeping the hips straight back and twisting between the shoulder blades. Let's walk through how I would cue pyramid pose. So feet are about hip width apart or a little bit wider. You're going to step back. I'm going to use my blocks so I can demonstrate a really straight spine. Plus my hips feel really tight into their hamstrings. And I know that if I try to get my fingertips to the mat, I'm going to round through the spine and I'm going to be missing the important part of that stretch. So always elevating yourself and holding onto something can be really key to getting the better part of the stretch. So I'm going to put a slight bend in my knee. That way I know I'm really going to be opening up through the back part of the hip and the pelvic floor. If I straighten my leg too much, I'm going to be getting too much hamstring and I'm probably going to round here. So this really allows me to open the pelvis up in the back. I'm going to come onto fingertips. I'm going to draw my shoulder blades back, nice neutral spine. Inhale, reach the crown of the head forward. Exhale, soften. Then you can take a twist in the alignment from head to rear end in that nice flat neutral spine to find the opening of the pelvic floor. As I take that twist, I'm going to start to turn my body weight over this leg, and that's going to promote a little bit of that foot flattening. So you're still making sure you're finding that internal rotation and that key of working through the foot. As I reach, I'm only twisting between the shoulder blades. So again, even if maybe you can find a nice flat spine here, twisting is always a great option to bring yourself up so that you know you're maintaining the neutral spine aspect. All right, and then let's highlight some of the inner thigh activity. Let's do eagle. So crossing one leg over the other. If you really struggle with balance, you can definitely just kickstand that foot down. I suppose the arms would be optional, but it wouldn't quite be eagle. So it would be opposite arm, then the other one, and the palms pressed together. So that really helps us get the core contraction and the postural support that we're looking for. But in terms of the pelvis and the foot alignment, if you go back to some of what Betsy and I showed you, if we are trying to go the opposite direction of butt clenching, we need to create some inner thigh activity as well. So with eagle, the cues are that this foot is going to wrap around, or even if you kickstand it, and you're squeezing the outer edge of the leg that's wrapped into the opposite leg. So both legs are squeezing together. For the leg that is grounded, you're going to get that foot flattening as well.